Hi guys, welcome. I'm making this video literally for me. Okay, I'm not even making it for you. I'm not making it for anybody else. I'm truly making this video for me. Hold on, I gotta shut a lot of stuff off here. There we go. Okay. All right. So, hi, how are you? I'm making this video for literally me because this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a very long time. So, I'm going to do the unedited version of me talking on here on live, but then I'm going to re upload an edited version because right now we be backwards right now. We're backwards, okay? But on the edited version, we're going to be on the right side here. Okay, hi. I have wanted to make this video for a long time. How's it going? What's up? How's the tea? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are excited to be here because this has been a long time coming. If you've been following me for a while, thank you. But you also come up with this theory and I feel like I have a successful thought process behind it. So I wanted to walk through this with you guys. And I thought it'd be fun if I did it live so you guys could see an unedited version. But I also thought it'd be fun if I re-uploaded it where it's edited, looks a little bit nicer, whatever. I got 2 hours to kill before I have to go pick up my child, okay? So guess what we're going to do? We're going to do a little history lesson with me, okay? You guys, I have notes, okay? Also, I got myself a nice little photo printer that I'm using to do these little pictures, and I'm very excited about this, okay? So come along this journey with us. Come with me. Let's see what we got, okay? So, to make the perfect housewife franchise, I have come up with a theory, okay? And the theory is that there are three things that you have to have consistently in order to have a wonderful, amazing, deliciously wonderful franchise, okay? That is a Real Housewives franchise. Now, my theory about how to make the best franchise is from my theory that Vanderpump Rules is the best reality TV show as a whole, start to finish, that Bravo has ever created. This is the best reality TV show that Bravo has ever come up with. There are so many housewife franchises, there are so many offshoot franchises, there are so many things, but as a whole, from start to finish, as of today, I think Salt Lake City is in the running. I personally think that Vanderpump Rules is the best franchise that has ever come out of Bravo. Why, you ask this? Okay, because they have three things that every Real Housewife franchise has to have. Okay, first is you have to have family and friends. Okay, okay. First, you have to have the first thing is family and friends. Okay, you have to have a deep rooted connection. You can't have a Real Housewife franchise that is built off of women that don't know each other and were basically casted together. It does not work. The style of this type of reality TV show, there has to be a sense of realistic relationship outside of the show. And this is why I think so many housewife franchises are starting to fumble, is because they are starting to not have people that are actually friends and have histories with the cast members anymore. They're just doing like audition tapes, and that rarely, if at all, ever works. The best example of it working is Lala Ken. Lala Ken is the best Bravo character, side character that's probably, in my opinion, come out of Bravo that has no connection to anybody on this cast, anybody on the Vanderpump Rules cast, not one person. She was not friends with anybody beforehand. She did not know anybody beforehand. She was literally, essentially, like casted for the show and just kind of like showed up and became like a phenomenon within the group. And that is very rare. James was a side character that came out of nowhere that what did have a connection to the cast, a very, very deep, crazy ass one, which we can talk about on another episode if you want. And that's why he was so successful, is because when they added him in to the show, it was there was a reason to put him on the show. He had a connection with the cast, he had a connection with multiple cast members, he had drama with multiple cast members. It was literally perfect. Lala, no connection, didn't know anybody. She happened to just know somebody that worked at SUR and kind of just like fell into all this, and here she is now. Okay. Second thing you have to have is you have to have a narrator, okay? A reliable narrator. Now, the reliable narrator doesn't have to be the smartest person, doesn't have to be the most like down to earth human being, but they have to be that within the group. Okay, not in general in the normal population, just within the group that they're casted on. They have to be the least delusional person out of the entire housewife cast, okay? And they have to be the most grounded person out of the entire cast. Okay? Again, I'm not saying in general, I'm not saying in the world, out of every human that walks the face of the earth. No, no, no. This specific group that they're a part of. Okay? And then the last thing you need is you need at least 2 delusional cast members. Okay? At least 2 in your franchise. Okay? You gotta have at least 2 to bounce off of each other. They don't have to be the same type of delusion, but they both have to be delusional. If they're not delusional, if you don't have crazy, kooky fun, delusional craziness, you're not going to have a successful franchise. And again, we're losing a lot of this as well. Okay? We haven't really ever lost this, but we're losing these 2 things, and this is why we're struggling in the Real Housewives universe. And again, why my best example of casting has been Vanderpump Rules. Okay, so here are my examples. Okay, first example, if you know me, I will take every opportunity to put this poster on anything Bravo related that I do. I love Crazy Kristen smoking and chain and cigs. Okay, she is the queen of delusion. All right, she is the queen of delusion. All right, but let's start off with friends and family. So 2 franchises that I think were the best at that was The Real Housewives of New York City was the best at bringing friends together that had a history, that have known each other for a very long time. And if you notice, the ones that stuck around the longest on that show and the ones that kept coming back were the ones that had the relationships, that had the back stories, that had the drama within that friend group. Those were the ones that kept coming back over and over again. So you have somebody like Sonia and Dorinda, for example, they were always in the background on the show. If you watch previous episodes before they were actually casted as housewives, you can see them in the background. They've been friends with these women, especially Ramona, for a very long time. They know Luann. They knew the core women of the group for a very long time. Already had thoughts, had been on vacations, been on trips, hung out, know each other's children. Like they knew everything about each other already. Okay. So that added a level of cuckoo crazy and drama and tea and hot gossip that is deeper than something like Beverly Hills, for example, which is one of the franchises that I personally critique the most, where I feel like they are just constantly casting women off the fucking street and hoping they all get along with each other, or hoping that the drama is good enough when they're all together. There's like usually like no deep connection between like the entire group. It's like, oh, I met this woman at a party one time and like we've seen each other at a couple different events and she seems really, really nice. And I kind of just called up Andy Cohen and was like, hey, you should have so-and-so on. Oh, okay, cool. Bloop. And then you just hope for the best. Okay. Like, but the other franchise that was really good at this was Real Housewives of New Jersey because they had a family element. So again, there is a different level of drama that will happen because there is so much drama. What ends up happening, though, what can happen, which is what I think is happening, that happened with Jersey, is that you do teeter on this line of, is this the same drama we've been doing for 75 seasons? Okay. Is this the same drama or is this different drama? Are we rehashing this same drama over and over and over again that it feels like we're on a hamster wheel and we're never going to get off and I'm going to scream? Okay. That's something we have to be aware of. But one of the best housewife franchises has to be New York. And then Real Housewives of New Jersey is very good at this friends and family situation. Some other franchises that I think were really good at this at the beginning, they've had their ups and downs and they've kind of been all over the place. But the OG, I think of these ones as like the OG franchises, the first franchises. And then anything outside of that, I kind of feel is like the new, like a newer generation of housewives, basically. So the best housewives, in my opinion, are NYC, obviously, is New Jersey. We have Real Housewives of OC, the OG seasons. We have Real Housewives of Atlanta. The OG seasons are very good. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Again, pretty much anything that Vanderpump Rules was in, anything that Vanderpump was in is the really good seasons, in my opinion. And I'm not even a big fan. But and then our new baby that I think is taking over the reins when it comes to being that girl and having all three elements and being great at it is right now Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is turning into that girl, okay? They're taking all of these elements and they are running with it. And because of that, they're the most successful Housewives franchise right now, in my opinion, on Bravo, okay? Next, what we have to have is we have to have a narrator. And we have to have a reliable narrator. And for me, the most reliable narrator that I've seen on franchises overall has been Garcelle. I think Garcelle is an incredible narrator because this. She can be really funny and really catty. She loves to bring up the drama. She loves to dig up for drama, but she's very good about being very, very subtle about it and not having it all come back onto her somehow, because she's more mature than some of the other women. Okay, she's not as drama based, she's not as catty, but she knows how to get in there. She's an interviewer. She's Barbara Walters-ing it all the way to the fucking end. Okay, she knows what she's doing. All right. Also, she's really good at reading the room online. Okay, so something that she's really, really good at is, in my opinion, I have no proof of this in any way, shape, or form, but in my opinion, what Garcelle does is, I think Garcelle goes online and she's in the Reddit threads, she's on the TikTok, she's on the Instagrams, and she reads the room, and then she takes the advice from the fans, and that's how she kind of maneuvers her way through every single season, because she really is kind of always on the pulse of what the audience thinks. There has never been a time really where I feel like Garcelle has been completely off base from how the audience is feeling about the group or how the audience is feeling about her cast. She's very, very good. And I feel like Bose has taken that over for her. And of course, let it be black women that fucking read the room every single goddamn time, or they're the smartest women in the goddamn group. It, like, literally every single goddamn time. They're the least delusional women in the group. So I think Bose is taking over that little seat a little bit. Again, she just feels like she reads a room. She knows the audience. She understands. Another thing that the narrator has to have is they have to have some semblance of common sense overall. They can't be the delusional character. These two people can't always be the same person, except for there are exceptions. I'll tell you the exceptions. Okay, so reliable narrators in the Real Housewife franchise. So for me, if we're talking about my OG groups plus Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, okay? So my first reliable narrator is going to be for New York, and that was, again, Bethany and Carol. Now, this is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with me. It's totally fine. I don't care. And I also don't care if you want to get in the comment section and go, hey, Sam, actually, let me give you some of my ideas. I would love that. Tell me more. Add to my theory. That's great. I would love your information, okay? For me personally, these are consistent narrators, okay? These aren't like one-shots. These aren't one-offs. These are people that have been in their franchise for a while. And I feel like overall, this is the vibe that they give. So for me, it was Bethany and Carol. Bethany and Carol, they have their moments of delusion, okay? They have their moments. They have their things. But overall, they, for the most part, have more common sense than the rest of the women on their cast. Do they have the most common sense out of everybody on the planet? No, they do not. No, they don't. And you'll notice that as I keep going down, okay? But Bethany and Carol, they could always read the room. They kind of knew how everybody was behaving and acting and what was appropriate, what wasn't. They kind of could always read the room when it came to the other castmates. They knew where to put drama, but also to kind of back off a little bit. And they also kind of stopped the cast from making stupid maneuvers that they didn't need to do. They were very good at, when other cast members were maybe too drunk or acting too crazy, they would kind of come in and swoop in and save them a little bit. But they were also the first ones to be like, yo, y'all are stupid. Why are you acting like this? Like, that's what this group kind of does, okay? So next for me is going to be for New Jersey. So for New Jersey, for me, I thought Caroline Manzo and Dolores. I'm not going to spell Dolores' name right. But Caroline in the OG seasons was the voice of reason. Okay. She was a good narrator. She moved the story along. She talked about it. She would be in drama, but she wasn't necessarily always the drama, but she was involved. She obviously has this family friend element that really helped her move throughout the cast a lot, and she was funny. She had her moments. She was very very likable. That's the other thing. The narrators are likable people. They're not unlikable people. Okay. And then I feel like now, for the most part, I think Dolores is that person. I think overall, again, is she perfect? No. Does she have her moments of delusion? Yes. But overall, I think Dolores is always trying to push the cast in the right direction. She's narrating the story very, very good. She's talking to everybody. She's kind of on everybody's, she's kind of a floater in the middle, and I feel like narrators can kind of be the floater of the group. They have their nose in everything, and there's a reason for that because they're kind of narrating the whole season. They're commentating the whole season for us. All right, next is going to be Real Housewives of OC. And honestly, guys, if you want to come up with some of these for yourself that you think, please let me know, because I will say OC was a little rough for me on trying to figure out who that person is that the narrator is. I think overall it's Heather Dubrow. I think Heather is, she's not very delusional. She has her delusional moments because she's a rich woman. We get it. But overall, she has a lot of common sense. She's always trying to bring everybody back down to earth. She's trying to talk to everybody. She's friends with everybody on the cast overall. She's not necessarily happy with everybody and they're not on the best terms, but overall, she does kind of get to stick her hand in every single jar. You know what I'm saying? She kind of gets to be in everybody's situation, which is a good thing when you're the narrator of the group, okay? Next, we have Real Housewives of Atlanta, ATL. And that is obviously, I don't think anybody would argue with me on this, is Candy. Okay? Candy has, again, delusional moments. She has her time, okay? But overall, everybody's friends with her. Everybody enjoys Candy. She was able to kind of stick her hand in everybody's pot. She knew everybody's tea and gossip, and she was really good. That's the other thing that's really good about people like Garcelle, is that these people always have the tea, they always know the tea, but they use it strategically and appropriately to move the story along. They also are known, in my opinion, as the producers of the show. They're the ones that people think that they are produced. Sometimes it feels like they're producing the show because they're so good at asking the right questions, saying the right things that make it easier, I think, sometimes for the showrunners and the editors to do their jobs, to be honest with you. All right, next is going to be was Beverly Hills. And again, I always say I think that was Garcelle for a long time. Sometimes it was Renna, but then she kind of went off the rails for a while. And I have a love-hate relationship with Lisa Renna. Everybody knows that if you follow me long enough. And then for the newer season, for the newest, the new queen, I think Heather is becoming a very reliable, fun narrator. Again, she's fun, she's silly, she's goofy, but she's kind of friends with everybody. She's always in the mix with everybody. She's friends with Mary, she's friends with Lisa, Meredith. You know, she is able to communicate with everybody on her cast. Nobody really denies these people. Somehow they always end up being able to have conversations with everybody for the most part. They're pretty good at it. They're pretty good at finding a way to be very likable. And that really helps. And the audience, I think, finds them very likable. I know people are going to be like, oh my God, Bethany sucks. Blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. Bethany now sucks. Okay. Bethany on Real Housewives of New York, chef's fucking kiss. That woman was bred and made for reality television. Does that make her an amazing human being in the real world? Not really. I'm not a big Bethany Frankel fan, to be quite fucking honest with you. But I also think that she's one of the best housewives that was ever created on this planet. I think she's phenomenal. Okay. Last is our Kristen Doties of the world, also known as our Luann de Lesseps. Okay. You need to have some delusional girls on your show. Okay. If you don't have people that are delusional, you will not have a successful franchise. This right here, you really need this, okay? In my opinion, this might be the most important group member, okay, of your franchises, is they need to be in cabaret mode at all times, okay? Sonia Morgan, the Morgan Letters, okay? Ramona, all right? Pinot Grigio, Turtle Time, okay? We need delusion, okay? And there's different types of delusion, okay? One of the things that I said earlier was delusion, rich people delusion. Heather's rich and she has her moments, but she's not rich people delusional. That's Lisa Barlow. Okay. That's Meredith Marks. Okay. So for some delusional people, again, I said also Ramona for New York. Sonia is another really good one. And then Dorinda. I mean, honestly, we'll talk about why I think this cast is one of the best I think this is the best housewife franchise, in my opinion, overall from front to back. Not the new seasons. Not the new seasons don't even compare to this group. All right, so next one is New Jersey. So for me, I think it's pretty obvious. Teresa is a big one. Teresa is very delusional. I think Danielle at times, I'm talking OG Danielle, very, very, very delusional, especially when it came to like relationships, her daughters, very fucking delusional. And then Melissa. I think Melissa was very fun to watch in the beginning, especially when she was trying to have her little pop star moment. Like that level of delusion was so entertaining to me. And then early on, it got to a point where it was like, oh my god, shut up! I don't care that you guys fight anymore. But in the beginning, these two were fun to watch to be delusional together. They were Teresa and Melissa being delusional together, being delusional towards each other, very entertaining. Okay, and it added to this little element, the family element. But the problem is that your delusions about each other and you're arguing about each other, it's been 10 seasons, nobody cares anymore. So how do we refresh these things? You know, how do we refresh the cast, the behavior? You know what I'm saying? Real Housewives of OC. I think for me personally, I think Vicky is a very delusional human being. But again, I don't like Vicky. She's made for reality TV though. If we're talking about like that dynamic. I think Gretchen is a very delusional human being, and I think Alexis was a very delusional person, very delusional human beings. These three are like MAGA right wing Republican delusional, and if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm talking about. Like this is a different level of fucking delusion. This is like tax fraud delusion. This is, I didn't know I was going to lose the house delusion. This is, I didn't know my husband was a piece of shit delusion. Like, ignorance is bliss delusion. That's what these three do. These three are ignorance is bliss. Like, notice how all three of them have had a lot of issues with men and their delusional fantasies with their partners and who their men are. Vicky, Cancer, delusional. Okay, next is Atlanta, the ATL. Okay, so for Atlanta, we have Kenya is very delusional half the time. Sheree, the queen of delusion, not knowing when she's going to have her freaking yoga She by Sheree line. She by Sheree is like this is why I feel like Luann and Sheree are like the queens of delusion in franchise history of like Real Housewives. Like the level of delusion these two, like the level of delusion that this woman has is so fucking funny to me. And again, like the example is She by Sheree. Anything to do with She by Sheree. Kenya was like the house situation, and like when is her house gonna get built? The boyfriends that she had, delusional, like delusional human beings, but so funny to watch. Kim Zolciak. I mean, do I have to explain? I think her entire history on Housewives is built off of fucking delusion. Like, seriously. And then last one is Portia. I think this has lessened a lot with her, but in the beginning, when she didn't know shit about the Underground Railroad, but her grandfather, I believe, is like one of the biggest activists and like walked with Martin Luther King Jr. Like, ah! And then any relationship that she's in, fucking delusional. Okay. And then let's see, Beverly Hills. We have Kim, obviously. We have Dorit, who I think is on the Mount fucking Rushmore of delusion. And then we have the fun type of delusion, which is Kathy Hilton. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I miss these days. I miss rich people delusion. This is what I miss about Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills, these women used to be butt fuck. Like, these women used to be insanely rich. Some might say the richest franchise out of all the franchises. Like, actual women that make their actual own money and have their own paychecks, or a very wealthy, well-off husband. Like, this was the, like, when you think of like a stereotype of housewives, I feel like that was Beverly Hills. Okay. And Kathy Hilton, perfect, like, not understanding catchphrases and words, not dressing appropriately for certain areas. It's just mouthing off and saying the most ridiculous shit, starting drama all the time. I mean, she is like the kiss of delusion. All right. And then let's go to our new queen of the universe, which is SLC. And obviously, I think we all know Mary is literally the queen of delusion. Like, Mary has got to go down as a Mount Rushmore of housewives, I think. She is so entertaining. She's so delusional. She's so funny in all of her diary room scenes. She is so freaking hilarious. She's probably evil and probably runs a cult. She's great, a great housewife. Next we have Lisa Barlow. Lisa Barlow is what I believe to be rich girl, again delusional, where she's kind of like Heather, but she kind of gives Teresa vibes. Like, she kind of gives prim and proper, owns her own business, but also gives tax evasion. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't tell if Lisa's businesses are about to fucking crumble or if everybody just hates her guts because she's rich and she knows a lot of people and she's kind of famous. And she is a very much like, once we start getting into like season 3, 4, and 5, you do start seeing who the cast is very well aware of, who a favorite is. And Lisa is clearly like a fan favorite. A lot of people love Lisa. I think the whole delusion of she owns a liquor business, but she also is a Mormon, and the outfits she wears, they're like, you're not Mormon, you wouldn't wear that if you were Mormon. Like, she gives Mormon light, which is really funny to me. And then Meredith, I don't know where she is half the time, what she's doing. I think Meredith is constantly on some type of medication of some sort. Okay. She's all over the place half the time. Okay. I don't even know if her and Seth are actually in a monogamous relationship. I think that they're swingers, but that's just me. Again, I have no proof. I have nothing to back this up. This is just random shit that I'm saying. Okay. It's a random person on the internet. Okay. But overall, this is what I think you need to have the most consistent, successful franchise. Okay. My proof is in this pudding is if you look at all of the ratings of all the housewife franchises. Okay. So for ratings, New Jersey has a 4.5 rating, which I actually kind of think is criminal. But I also think that's the later seasons that are dragging it down. I do want to go look into their ratings per season and see what the per season rating is, because I bet you the earlier seasons are rated better than the older season. The older seasons are rated better than the newer seasons, in my opinion. So Real Housewives of New Jersey on IMDb, might I add, has a 4.5 rating. Real Housewives of OC has a 4.5 rating. I also think that the reason that is I think the later seasons dragged it down. I think that Atlanta has a 4.8 rating, which I also think is the later seasons dragging that down. I actually don't think it. I think of it. I would give OC overall a 7. I would give Atlanta overall an 8.5. I would give New Jersey overall like a 7.5. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills have a 0.6 rating. I actually think they should be lower. I think overall they're like a 5. I think a lot of their older seasons, a lot of their newest seasons are not good or not well done. And the casting, whoever cast Beverly Hills is so bad at their job and needs to get fired like immediately. And then currently, Real Housewives of SLC has a 6.8 rating, which I think is pretty incredible for only being on the air for 5 seasons. Because obviously, the longer you're on, the more the average is going to get probably shoved down towards the lower numbers. But NYC, okay, Real Housewives of New York City, this is not including, this is the first 10 seasons, okay? So this is not including the shit season that they had that was really dragged them down, I think. And it does not include the newest franchise part of it, the new reboot version of it. From seasons 1 through 10, they have a 7.87 rating. Like, come on. Vanderpump Rules for 11 seasons has a 6.3 rating. So that should just show you right there that there's a reason why those ones are the top dogs. Again, in my opinion, in my scientific opinion, that I don't have any credible evidence other than the fact that I went online and I typed in IMDb and I looked up shit and ratings. But overall, I think this proves somewhat little 1% that Vanderpump Rules and NYC, like, if you want to make the most successful Bravo franchise, hire me, first of all. Number two, you have to look at the OG seasons. And the OG seasons of Housewives was this. And that's why I think SLC is doing so good right now. Is because they have a group of women that are genuine friends on the show, outside the show. When there's no cameras, they do spend time together. When there's cameras, they're hanging out, doing their thing. They also are really good, and this is one thing that I feel like I want to talk about someday too, is that a lot of these casts, they don't realize that they need each other, that they have to have a balance of good guys, bad guys, and it has to like rotate all the time. Which is why I think Beverly Hills has a really hard time. Beverly Hills is, if you guys haven't caught on yet, my least favorite housewife franchise. And I think one of the reasons that is because they were really, really bad at reading the room that they needed each other. They had a chunk of time, like the Amsterdam season. They did have a time where I feel like they knew that they needed each other. They knew they needed Brandy. They knew they needed Kim. They knew they needed Kyle. They knew they needed Lisa Rinna. They knew they needed Yolanda. They needed LVP. Like, they knew that even though we're not all besties, we do need each other to be successful and to have a successful franchise. And then what happened is jealousy set in, feelings got pushed in, and what happened is you have people like Lisa Rinna, whether she wants to admit it or not, this is my opinion. Again, I have no proof. This is just my opinion. Actively tried to run off cast members off of the show. Denise Richards should have stayed on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She was a great housewife. She was delusional. We needed her. You ran her off the fucking show. There was no need for that. We need LVP. LVP is she can be a very good narrator. She can also be very delusional, okay? And we needed her. And you drove her off the show. Like, we can't have that. And I think SLC, though they don't all get along, and they're not all best friends, and they're not all, tee-hee-hee all the time, they know they need each other. They know every single person on that cast balances each other out. They have a great balance right now of delusional, of calm, of serious, of rich, of questionably rich, of smart, hardworking, dad, like, husband makes all the money, I make all the money. Are we all gonna, be on the street in 5 minutes because of my bad financial choices? Like, have great husbands, have loser husbands, divorced, single. Like, they have a great balance in that group. And I secretly think that they all made like some type of pact, especially the OG4, made like a special pact where they're like, listen, we are not going to drive people off of the show unless they are a danger to us. And what's her face? Was it Monica? Monica was like a legit like psycho. Like, whether you want to like accept that or not, whether you like her or not, she is likable person. I understand that. What she did to them though, and the way that she stalked them is like, if you look into it more, it's really creepy. It's really fucking creepy. It's giving single white female. But this group overall doesn't really run women off of their show. They kind of just like, you think about Jen Shaw. Jen Shaw assaulted a cast member. Assaulted a cast member. And they were like, it worked for the show. It's a great storyline. We don't give a fuck. Let's keep going. We don't care. Like, they are committed to the bit. And Real Housewives of New York was like that. They did not always love each other. Luann and Bethany fucking hated each other at times. Ramona and Luann hated each other. Like, Dorinda, Sonia sometimes hated each other's guts. Like, they were constantly not always best friends. But they knew what they were doing. They knew that they needed each other to make the show better. They knew they needed each other to keep the show consistent, fresh, fun, and having a good time. Because they knew that they built a good cast up. And every time they brought somebody new, an outsider, into the group, it never fucking worked. It never worked. And it's the same thing with Vanderpump Rules. Vanderpump Rules is one of those shows, and you can tell there's a reason why a huge chunk of their cast is still on that show. For 8 seasons, they had the entire OG group for 8 seasons. That says a lot. Real Housewives of New York. There's a reason why a huge chunk of them were together for a very long time, because it worked. There's a reason why New Jersey was successful for a very good chunk of time, because they had a good group. Okay, they have these good groups, and then what happens is jealousy, delusion, bad choices, bankruptcy, bad husbands. They fuck everything up, and they fuck up seasons, and it happens all the time. It's going to continue to happen. It is what it is. Sometimes you're just unlucky. Okay, but when you find a group, these producers need to sit their ass down. When they find a good group, they need to sit SLC down and go, listen to me. Listen to me. We have the perfect group right now. And you'll all keep your job if you just keep this up. If you guys ever get in a fight, if you guys ever have a disagreement that is beyond repair, that is, detrimental to the group, is scary, is not okay, is illegal, that's a different conversation. But if it is not that bad, we all have to suck it up for the betterment of the group to keep our franchise going. Because look what's happening right now in New Jersey. New Jersey, in my opinion, and I've theorized about this for a while, and I made a video about it, I think Rhode Island's going to take over New Jersey. Because they have a deep, embedded friendship group that I think, if I'm correct, is going to be pretty successful. And they give a very similar vibe to New Jersey. New Jersey, they got too big for their friggin' britches. Somebody thought they were a little too famous. Got too big for their britches, okay? And started realizing, oh shit, we're on an ensemble cast. The show isn't actually about me. Crap. I actually have to get along with these women, or I have to be able to work with them. And now I couldn't do that. And we were circling the drain with the same conversation every single year. We just lost our show. And that happens. Okay. It does happen. It is rare though that a franchise gets canceled. Okay. There's only been 2 franchises canceled. That was Dallas and Washington. Real Housewives of DC, which I wish they would bring back right now. Can you imagine all these losers' wives on a show together? You're talking about delusion. There might be too much delusion. But can you imagine having a mix of Democrats and Republican wives together, hooting and hollering it up, bouncing around DC, dealing with all the race? You talk about the level of delusion on that show. Oh, bring it back. Bring back DC. Please bring it back. Stop making new franchises. Bring back DC. Okay? Now, I will say, I don't know every single franchise, and I don't know every single group and every single thing about them. Okay, the OG groups, if I don't watch them every single episode, every single season, I'm always in the know of what the big drama is. Okay, I'd say that the newer, like the next generation of franchises, essentially, which was like Potomac, Dallas, Salt Lake City, DC, in my opinion, would have been considered an OG group if they would have stuck around, but obviously that didn't happen. Um, let's see, Potomac, SLC, Dubai. I don't watch Dubai. I've heard lots of great things about it, and I love um Danbury. I love her. I don't watch it though. I don't know why. I just didn't. I just never stuck with me for some reason. But they are they're known to be very, very good. Potomac, I think, is can be really good, but they're having like a very lull moment right now of drama that just seems so petty and boring for some reason. I don't really know how to get them out of the trenches right now. I think Wendy's helping them do that honestly right now offline. So, and Karen is going to be a big part of all this puzzle piece too. But I do love Potomac. I've watched every season of Potomac. I do love Potomac very, very much. Lots of delusion on that show. Lots of delusion and a lot of family and friendship, which is really, really, really important. A lot of friendship on that show, which I think helps a lot with a lot of the arguments and the issues that they've had for a while. I think that's very, very helpful. I think Giselle could be a very good narrator. I think Karen was a really good narrator. I also think Giselle and Karen are also very fucking delusional though. So it happens. Dallas, I watched I think one season of that and didn't really get into it for some reason. DC, I can't even remember if I've watched the whole thing from start to finish, to be quite honest with you. I don't even remember. And if I'm missing a franchise, let me know in the comment section, obviously. But here is my best theory of how to make a Real Housewife franchise to be the most successful and to have the most successful seasons. If you can have all these three in one season, you're going to be a winner, baby. Okay? And if you need help and you need to figure out, are we on the right path? Are we doing the right thing? All you have to do is you have to go watch Vanderpump Rules seasons 1 through 8, and you need to go watch Real Housewives of New York City seasons 7, 8, and 9 are probably the best ones. 7, 8, 9. I would do that. If you can give that vibe off, you're going to have a very successful franchise. And you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Okay? All right. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. And I will see you on the next one. Check everything out. Link in the bio. Love you. Follow me everywhere. Bye.